they multiply the amount of gold they're going to buy from like 10 million dollars to 92 million dollars a day, and it adds up to about 30 tons for a month. So it's quite significant. And the timing and the announcement is interesting because you usually don't announce that kind of stuff. So maybe they're giving a kind of signal to the other BRICS nations and other nations that are looking to attend the BRICS summit on October 22nd to 24th, that the way forward in the BRICS monetary system is to have some gold. I'm not saying they're going to use gold to trade, but they could use gold as a reserve instead of the dollar. And I think a lot of these countries, they are not completely abandoning the dollar, because maybe if they're doing business, like China is still doing business with the US and other countries, if they have to buy stuff from the US, they'll have to use dollars. The only country that seems to not be in that situation right now is Russia, because of all the sanctions.
In today's news recap, geopolitical tensions drive silver prices higher, more gains ahead. Silver price showed an upward trend, reaching an intraday high of $27.57 an ounce. Geopolitical tensions and expectations of Federal Reserve rate cuts have bolstered silver prices. Conflicts in the Middle East have heightened concerns of a broader regional conflict, supporting safe haven assets like silver. Anticipated Fed rate cuts have further boosted silver's price. However, the upward momentum may be challenged by positive risk sentiment and a strong U.S. dollar, which typically limits silver's gains. U.S. dollar strengthens amid inflation data and Fed rate cut expectations. The U.S. dollar is gaining strength despite market expectations of a 25 basis point Fed rate cut in September, with some anticipating a larger 50 basis point cut. This dollar strength is likely driven by anticipation of upcoming U.S. inflation data. However, this boost may be short-lived due to the expected rate cut and overall optimistic market sentiment. In a risk-on environment where investors are more willing to take risks, safe haven assets like the U.S. dollar typically face challenges. Despite various factors supporting the dollar and preventing significant declines, Fed Governor Michelle Bowman noted on Sunday that the Fed might not be ready to cut rates in September, citing inflation risks and a strong labor market. However, this has not significantly boosted the U.S. dollar or impacted silver prices. Looking ahead, investors are cautiously awaiting key U.S. inflation data before making major decisions on silver. Now we'll show you the best clips of the latest interview, but first, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with a silver bug.
Are in place, 10 or 11. They control a lot of commodities, hard assets, energy, and the other countries that want to join the same. They're mostly in Asia and Africa. And what that means is that it's not going to be as easy for the West to control commodities and commodities prices, and we're going to have to pay more for it. I think it's the ex-guy from Credit Suisse. I forgot his name. He's got a Hungarian name, but he said that there's like a war now for commodities, and BRICS they're gonna control the commodities and hard assets. So unless the U.S. And the West, let's say Europe, allow their economies to develop and to exploit for commodities, which is something that doesn't look like they want to do with this Green New Deal and green agenda. And they seem to not want to allow for extraction of minerals. Things are going to get a lot worse, I think. And the other thing is, if our currencies are not, let's say if countries around the world don't buy as many treasuries or as many gilts in the UK or European government bonds, that means that unless the central banks start QE and buying these bonds, interest rates are going to be higher than they normally would have been, and that's going to hurt our economies. And I know interest rates have been going down, but I think they probably would have gone down even more if we weren't having so much trouble in the world with sanctions, with Brics. Because if we're cooperating with the rest of the world, they wouldn't have a reason to start a Brics bloc or anything. They'd be cooperating with us. So that's why it will hurt us, in my opinion. And it looks like, we forget that the West is a small part of the world population and the resources now, and their economies are growing faster and faster, and they have better demographics than we do. And what free markets and freedom of the individual, but it's something that has been chipped away at in the West. Actually, you've seen what's happened here in the UK with the riots and how they've cracked down on what they call far right thugs, even though they're just people who are most of them were just protesting about policies. And in the US as well, we're seeing that we saw recently, is it Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Meta, admitting that the government, the Biden administration asked the company to censor people. So, and I think the Brics nations, we are told in the West that they're authoritarian. They don't have strong democratic principles. But we've been in the West for the last 25, 30 years interfering and trying to bring democracy to these countries. And all we have done is destabilize it. And I think these countries, they think we are hypocritical, and I can understand why they say that. You just have to look at what happened in Iraq in 2003. We went in there and based on a lie, really, about the weapons of mass destruction. And then we destabilized other countries like Libya. And there's so many of them, Panama as well. The U.S. has been interfering as well in elections since the 50s. So I think these people are saying, yes, we might not have the same institutions as you, but you have to respect us. And even if I don't agree with the way China's run, I think they run their own house. And I think that's what, and I think these countries have strengthened economically so much in the last 20 years that now they have the wherewithal to stand up to the West. And I'm not taking sides here. I'm just telling you.
In today's news recap, analysts predicts silver prices could reach $200, driven by demand for new EV battery technology. A financial expert with over a decade of experience in commodities markets has predicted that silver could reach $200 per ounce in the next 10 to 15 years, riding the wave of increased demand for a new EV battery technology developed by Samsung. According to Bambro, the new batteries may require 1 kilo of silver per car, driving silver usage sky high. Bambro believes that the precious metal will be able to reach $200 per ounce prices, supported by the emergence of a revolutionary new electric vehicle battery technology that uses silver in its structure. The new solid-state batteries developed by Samsung feature a silver carbon composite layer for the anode, allowing them to have an increased life, dramatically reduced charging times, and larger operating longevity. According to his estimates, each battery cell might require up to 5 grams of silver, putting the whole requirement for an average car battery at 1 kilograms. Bambro assesses that if only 20% of the yearly global car market adopts this kind of battery, 16 million EVs, it would increase silver demand sky high. Now we'll show you the best clips of the latest interview, but first, smash the subscribe button, hit the like button, and turn on notifications so you do not miss out our daily recaps. Enjoy the episode.
Politics And I try to focus on precious metals. And some people might say, oh, all you think about is money. But it's not true. It's just that precious metals and having savings, because that's what it is, protects you in times of crisis. And I think things are going to get chaotic in the West. And the trick will be to hold on to your gold and silver through the crisis, and see what happens after the dust settles. I just saw a post today by a guy that I follow, a Chinese guy from Hong Kong, and he was saying that his grandfather was a banker during before the China became communist, in the Republic of China in Shanghai. And the nationalist government at the time, before 1949, they in 1948 actually they confiscated a lot of all the people's gold, but his grandfather was able to hide the gold for him and his clients, and eventually, yeah, they were able to move to Hong Kong and start again and thrive. But so that's what it means. It means you might have to move, but if you have your gold, you can go anywhere, and that's how it keeps you free. I think personally, I think it's really hard to try to fight the powers that be on an individual basis. And yeah, you have to basically fight for your self-reliance and sovereignty. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked to people as well. I know Doug Case.
Turkey, I guess they want to. It's a country that is partly in Europe, even though it's a small part, and most of it in Asia. So they want both feet. You know, they try to play both sides. But the other reason why Turkey, I think, is applying for Brics is that they never had any luck applying to be a part of the European Union. Europeans never really were too keen on having them. And yes, the fact that they're part of NATO is a huge thing as well. I think after the US, they've got the biggest armed forces in NATO, Turkey. And like you said, in the beginning of the year, I think it was 6 or 7 countries that actually joined BRICS. Saudi Arabia, they're supposed to have joined, and I think they have, but they're not really publicizing it. And there's going to be 47, I think, guest countries going to the BRICS summit in October. And recently, I think there was an IMF meeting run by Russia in Moscow, and like 140 countries attended. So yeah, it's huge, and I think it's still underestimated by the West, the mainstream in the West, by Wall Street, by the City of London. They still kind of what the view they have is that, well, they'll never challenge us, but I think they're wrong. And I'm not saying this because I'm pro BRICS, but just because it's going to affect us here in the UK and the US, because as I've said many times, what it will mean is that these countries are going to need our currencies a lot less. And that means they're not going to really be buying as much of our currencies or investing as much in our currencies. So they're going to become worth less and less. And that's just going to hurt, aside from all the debts and borrowing that we're doing in the West and deficit spending. That's also going to hurt the purchasing power of our currencies. And, and that's why gold keeps going higher and higher versus all currencies, even the BRICS currencies. But
what do you think of Mario's take? Do you agree with him? Will the US dollar survive the upcoming recession? Are gold and silver not as valuable as some commentators wants us to believe? Post in the comments section down below your honest opinion and share with the stackers your insights. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you have not yet done so, and check this video right here because it's a perfect fit for you. I'll see you on the other side.